had a podcast segment last week talking about running back recruit Taylor Tatum and running back recruiting in general. Josh shared some confidence that he has in Taylor Tatum. He's had a future cast prediction in for Tatum going back to March something at this point. His extra confidence, as well as the conversation I had, was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and put in my future cast prediction as well. And then people went nuts thinking that I was suggesting Tatum was quitting or committing any moment. So I apologize for that. I was kind of just riding off of Josh's own confidence as well. So I thought we should dig into Tatum again a little bit and kind of talk part of the reason we're confident. And also there is a timeline here. Tatum's got some visits coming up, right? So for those of you, we are confident. That's why we put in the prediction. This is not an imminent commitment. And no. Josh, you can kind of speak to that for me real quick.
Yeah. I didn't expect my offhand comment to be taken so wildly and ran with it. I mean, I've seen where it's ended up and my quote exactly. So that was fun. But again, that shows to the power of this podcast, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't regret anything I said. I don't wish I took something back or reworded it differently. I do feel confident that Michigan is going to get Taylor Tatum. I don't think, and I don't believe it's going to be anytime soon. However, as I said last week, if a decision were to happen today, I believe it would be Michigan. And we have a bunch of reasons why we believe that. More specifically, I think Michigan is doing the best job recruiting him right now. I think they're in on him the hardest. A school like USC is kind of backed off a little bit because they have other names in the mix, as is Georgia, which kind of we figured USC and Georgia were going to be the two biggest threats. And I guess you could throw in Oklahoma there too, but the people we've spoken with really, they don't offer much on Oklahoma. And maybe that's by design or maybe, that's just circumstance. But, when we talk to people, the biggest buzz is around Michigan right now. And, the parents love Michigan. You've got that in their corner. I mean, they're big fans of the program. They're, when you have parents in your corner, you're doing a pretty good job of recruiting. So, and
those are the folks you want on your side.
Yeah, 100%. And so with Tatum, he has a visit coming up in June, and I think that's going to be a big one for Michigan's chances. I can't just sit here and be like, oh, he's going to have a great visit. Well, yeah, everyone has a great visit. I have never spoken to a recruit that said afterwards, oh, this visit was terrible. Like I had a horrible time. It's always good. But I think the most important part is kind of really making sure you knock it out of the park, showing off the baseball program, which I think has been a real asset for Michigan.
That doesn't get talked about enough.
No,
I joked with you. If you went through his Twitter likes, it's very clear what Taylor Tatum's favorite program is, and it's Michigan baseball.
Yeah, and if Michigan gets this over the finish line with Tatum, I think Tracy Smith deserves a lot of credit too, because he's actively recruiting Tatum as well. So, I don't know if ultimately he's the type of guy that's going to play two sports. I mean, he's a great baseball player. Does that happen? Does he do the Joey Velasquez route and play both sports? But we'll see, because I think, they can afford a guy like Joey Velasquez who's, carved himself out a special teams role. Do you allow your number one running back in the nation? Do you allow him to play two sports? Do you allow him to play baseball?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's not like he's going.
I think if he does for the first year or two, like I think about like what Keon Coleman did with basketball, or even RJ Moten's intentions when he came here, and then you kind of have to decide at some point. But yeah, if he wants to do it for a year or two, or if he can do both, then great.
And it's not like he's going from contact sport to contact sport either. So baseball is kind of a slower pace than football. So, that's another feather in Michigan's cap. Another thing too, is I don't think he's afraid of competition, with Jordan Marshall involved as well. I think that's another bonus for Michigan, that
I think he loves the idea of playing with Marshall.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? You got two extremely talented dudes that could create a prolific duo for years to come, you know? So I think a lot of things are going in Michigan's favor right now. A lot of good things. You know, obviously we'll keep the pulse of things as it progresses, because, you know, we're talking about we're in May. He hasn't taken his next round of visits yet, but I'll be very curious to see what the buzz out of Ann Arbor looks like once he takes that visit. And who knows, maybe it takes our confidence to the next step. But again, these predictions aren't to suggest, hey, this is happening imminently, but, you know, more like, you know, right now, this is where I think it's headed, and this is where I think it's going to be headed down the line. And, you know, things obviously may change. It may not change, may stay the same. But, you know, if things stay the same, you know, we feel pretty good about Tatum being in Ann Arbor when all is said and done.
I think the one consistent thing is his interest in Michigan and Michigan's interest in him. Mm-hmm. That's been consistent. With these other programs, you know, you'll hear the USC murmurs, which I do think if you were to say Tatum might want USC very badly, I think that's very possible. There's a lot of signs USC's not going after him as hard as some people think, right? They already have a very large running back from Texas that's committed, and they've been going after a couple other folks as well. And the same thing with Georgia. It was like, that makes too much sense. There's nobody in there yet. They're going after the kid at Florida State. It's like, oh, okay. Oklahoma, like you said, well, that could be his stay south option. And then you talk to folks in Texas who are saying some very interesting things about Oklahoma right now. And you're like, okay. Texas A&M is another one that's like not there right now that I've heard come up a lot too, you know? So I think he's trying to find something that checks all the boxes. The visit schedule right now, he's only got the 3. Michigan's the last one, like you said, going June 23rd.
Which is big.
That is huge. That's massive. Big. USC's June 2, and then Oklahoma's right in the middle there with June 16. So both of those visits, I think, are going to tell us a lot about not only Tatum's interest, but maybe those programs' interests.
Yeah.
And obstacles they need to overcome. And then, like you said, once he comes to Michigan, that's going to be our double down moment, or possibly, I don't want to say back off moment, but look, we're going to have a lot more information at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's a kid in Texas. So, but like you said, if it was today, I do feel confident. You do not have to squint hard to see the comparisons of Jordan Marshall to Blake Corum and Taylor Tatum to Donovan Edwards, right? And what's nice about when you first come to a program, or when your program's struggling and you're selling a vision, an idea, a hope, you know, you're going to be the guy that's going to change the program, you might be able to pull that off. But it's a lot easier to sell what we're already doing, results. You're that guy, right? So that's why offensive line, now quarterback, we're seeing some progress as well. We'll get into that in a second. Running back, corner, linebacker, like these positions where Michigan's been successful, shocker, they're succeeding on the recruiting trail as well.